Alright, so, did you ever go back to revisit a game and realize there's really something more to it than when you may have thought the first time around? Now, some games and some developers, I don't know, sometimes I feel never get a chance to unleash their full potential, that they're capable of, especially when they're done before they even have a chance to begin. One of these cases I noticed is with 2014's Murdered Soul Suspect, developed by Airtight Games and published by Square Enix, which I just finished streaming, a little bit ago. I'm posting it, by the way, if you want to check it out, but I digress. It's a mystery, supernatural detective thriller, some dark aspects that had a, pretty decent story with a decent runtime and a very cool artistic aesthetic. You're placed in the shoes of Salem detective Ronan O'Connor, and the game starts off right off the bat with your immediate death. Dude's getting thrown out a window right off the bat. You're dying. You're dying before you even start by some serial killer they call the Bell Killer. The story continues with Ronan trying to solve his own murder along with some strange murder occurrences that's, happening in Salem that he stumbles upon as he's dead, as a ghost. Almost like Patrick Swayze in Ghost. So with the help of this medium you stumble across, you look for clues, try to help her out, you speak to the locals, both alive and dead. You deal with some run-ins with some nasty demons. But what stands out the most was the overall vibe of the game. It's really good voice acting, but it's a dark game, but it's not the kind that keeps you tense or scared while playing. It's like a fun little detective story that has some nice twists and plays out really well at the end. I'm not going to go into spoilers. This is another one of those games that stick with you after you play it. Yeah, you kind of remember it because it was just different than the other titles from that type of genre. And it's a shame because most players will either like it or hate it. But you can see the potential the game has and could have had if it had the chance of a sequel of some sort. I think maybe a lot of difficulties was the teams and Square Enix, and Airtight. They were having trouble trying to integrate Western and Eastern philosophies regarding ghosts. And there was a lot of back and forth between the two teams on how to fictionally support the character, they said. Along with, facing the studio having to have to lay off employees earlier the year that the game was released. And all these things come into play. So we can only assume. I'm not a developer, but these, you can imagine how some things could affect the development of a game. But overall, I feel like some games are better just a straight linear to the point story. Maybe have a few sequels of it. And it doesn't have to be this huge open world massive thing because some games are just getting too big nowadays, taking up too much time. I feel like we need to go back to some linear, straight, story-driven titles that don't require you to do a ton of side quests and all these other things. Don't get me wrong, I love open world games. I play them all the time. But sometimes just a little simple story-based linear adventure detective story doesn't hurt now and again. And I don't think it should get criticized for it either. Just to wrap it up, I think Murdered Soul Suspect deserves an honest play from gamers. And it's definitely a story and a play worth checking out, I think. I really don't think the game will ever see a sequel, but you never know. Strangest things have happened. The only way I could see is if Square decides to resurrect this game for some reason, or they introduce a new story in general that is, similar to the style and build off it. A recent game that it kind of reminds me of, but it's not nothing like it, but it reminds me of of what a resurrected version of this game could be, would be something along the lines of Ghostwire Tokyo. Of that style, where there was more combat involved, or, opening up a little bit more. I think they were onto something with this game, and they probably could have, if given the chance, go somewhere with it. But it was like one of those instances where, you got a developer, you got a studio, they get closed down, they run into issues, you have language barriers, communication issues, and, you still get a decent game out of it. So imagine if everything was working and all the gears were moving properly, how this game could have turned out. Or anything like this style. So that's about it. I've been playing a lot of these games lately. I've been streaming a lot of these older games, and, there's a lot of passion in these games. And a lot of them are, no longer around. And probably won't be resurrected or even thought of anytime soon, and everybody forgets about them. But there's some passion in these games, and it's a shame that they all fall to the wayside. But what are you going to do? This stuff happens. And I want to thank everyone who's been subscribing, commenting on the videos, talking about stuff, discussing this stuff. It's pretty cool. I really appreciate it. I really do. I'm not lying. I'm being serious. If you ain't doing nothing, come by the stream. I play all kinds of games. Come on by. We stream around 10 o'clock. Talk to you later. Yo, be cool. Take it easy. Hey, if you made it this far, I commend you. You're a psychomaniac, and I knew it all along. But hey, you can continue your journey, or check out something else over there, or click there, or do this, or do that. I don't care what you do. Do your thing. Whatever. It'll be our little secret.